Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining another LeadSquared webinar. I think it's been a couple of weeks since we had one. So thank you so much for coming in again. A very warm welcome to those of you who are joining us for the very first time. We do webinars every month, pretty much every other week. So go ahead and look at our webinar calendar and see if there's something that interests you, and you're most welcome to join the sessions. A quick reminder to those who are interested in the finance sector, we have a bank assurance roundtable coming up tomorrow evening, India time. So again, you're free to join us there as well. Now let's dive into the session today. We are decoding the journey using automation to turn prospects into customers. That is the topic today. I have experts with me, as you can see on your screen. I have Arnav and Rajat, who have both very kindly agreed to take the webinar during the day for India. They're actually both in the US right now, so it's a bit late for them. But thank you guys so much for consenting to do this. Just before we get to your introductions, I want to just take you through what you will be getting out from the webinar today. So we will be discussing chatbots, we will be discussing automation, and how to sort of put it together to have a seamless experience, not just on the marketing front, but also on the sales front. Let's take you to the speakers for the day. We have Arnav, we have Rajat. So Arnav is the marketing lead at TAS, and Rajat is the director of marketing and inside sales at LeadSquared. If both of you could please share a few lines about yourselves, what's already on the screen is there. If there's anything else that you might like to add, a bit about your companies maybe. So Arnav, why don't you go first?
Sure. So I guess rather than talking just about me, maybe I'll talk a little bit about TARS, because I'm sure a lot of you guys have probably not heard of us before. So we've been around since 2016, and primarily what we've been doing since we've been around is helping marketing and sales teams automate the marketing and sales conversations using chatbots. It was a little bit of a windy road getting there, but we've finally figured out that using chatbots as a way to automate these conversations delivers an immense amount of value, as we'll cover in this webinar. And what I do within that context, within that mission, is I create content just like this webinar over here to help businesses and marketers and salespeople like you guys watching this right now get the most from your marketing campaigns and extract the most ROI that you can. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I don't know if you guys want to hear about my hobbies. I'd be more than happy to share those as well, but I'll hand it over to Rajat if there's nothing else.
Hi, thank you Arnav for being part of this webinar. This is Rajat here. I started off my career as a designer, then moved to marketing and then to sales, and I have a bad habit of asking why. So when I was designing, I asked why I'm designing, so that was for marketing, and I wanted to decode that. And then when I was doing sales, I was more curious about why I'm generating leads or creating that buzz or engagement or whatever. So that put me into sales. So this why is never ending, and maybe this will take me to somewhere else. But in this webinar also, we'll try to discuss that why your leads are dropping off, why automation helps you connecting sales and marketing, and so on. So hopefully you'll learn a few things from us, and we'll learn some things from you as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Quick message to the audience today. So guys, the presenters will keep talking about going through their presentation. You are most welcome to keep your questions coming. So they will be taken up after the presenters finish presenting. And we also have a couple of fun polls for you. So do take part in those. It's just a click of a button, that's all. With that, I'll hand it over to the speakers. Arnav's going first, and Rajat will follow thereafter. Thank you so much.
Yep. All right, guys. So actually, I think, Rajat, do you want to maybe introduce us a little bit in terms of what we are talking about?
Yeah, so this is a diagram I was talking to Arnav, and we wanted to keep it simple, but things look simple on the surface. That is the main idea of this diagram. This diagram everybody knows in marketing, in sales, and there is not much to discuss about that. A visitor comes, becomes a lead, and then eventually a customer. There are a few stages in between, but essentially these are the three most important stages and benchmarks in a lead's journey or a visitor's journey. But things are different. They're not really that simple. A visitor it passes a lot of obstacles and hurdles before becoming a lead. And similarly, a lead, when it becomes a customer, there are many steps involved and there are many breakages. As you can see, the process is broken. The leads fall through these cracks, and these circles are more far away than we anticipated or we expect them to be. So it is not that simple. The leads are falling through those cracks, and we have measured that in the last so many years. We see that a process is never optimized. It has to be optimized every day, and this is what we are going to explore in this webinar, how automation can fix this process, how automation can probably plug those holes and give you more than what you are already getting. So some examples, or maybe we can take that after Arnab's call. So a few of examples could be: a lead is bouncing off your page, your offer is poor, that is why it is not engaging a lot of good leads, and then there are missed follow-ups on the sales side, the salesperson has made a mistake. So many of those mistakes, automation, your robot friend can make up for those mistakes. So Arnab, why don't you take us for, on the first path from visitor to lead? How and what are the more likeliest of mistakes we are doing in our everyday lives?
Sure. Thanks for that introduction, Rajat. I think you did a great job of explaining what exactly it is we are talking about in this webinar. So as Rajat mentioned, in this first part of the webinar, what I'm going to be talking about is how you can use automation to plug some of those holes that he was talking about in the process of taking people from being a visitor who lands on your page into being a lead that's in your CRM that you can follow up on and possibly convert into a paying customer. Now, I already spoke a little bit about what we do at TARS, but just to recap, we generally help marketing and sales teams automate away their conversations to help them improve their marketing ROI. But instead of dwelling on this slide, we're going to be talking about how exactly we do that in the rest of this webinar, so we can move on. Now, before we actually jump into any discussion about any automation, I think a good starting point is to talk a little bit about the context of digital marketing that we find ourselves in today, how we got here, because I think that is really going to help us understand what the importance of automation is. So I want you guys to take a trip down memory lane with me a couple of decades back to a simpler time when, if we wanted to get something done, if we wanted to buy a product or a service, we'd actually have to walk into a physical store or office or call a business up. Now, in this simpler time back in the ancient times, the interesting thing about buying and selling was that it was a very human-driven process. Every single product or service that was bought involved some form of human interaction. As a marketer or a salesperson, you were talking to your visitors, you were talking to your prospects, you were talking to your leads, and you were trying to convince them to buy your product or service. Now, we all know what happened next. Over the last couple of decades, it seems like it's been forever, but it's just been the last couple of decades, we've seen the rise of digital. Digital has become the sort of preeminent marketing and sales channel. And it's understandable why that is the case. People have come to realize that they can buy a product or a service sitting in their pajamas on their couch or in their bed at whatever time of day that they want, and that's a very tantalizing appeal for a lot of prospects. But this shift to digital, it's caused some changes in the way we conceive of buyer journeys as marketers and as salespeople. And I think it's worth fleshing those out a little bit, because that's going to help us understand where automation comes into the picture. Now, the first big change that we see when we shift from a human-based, in-person customer service-based approach to marketing and sales to a digital approach is that the buyer journey becomes self-serve. Instead of having a conversation with your prospects, instead of having a conversation with your visitors, you are giving them the information that they need to make those decisions on their own. You create a landing page, you give them the information that you think they need, FAQs, testimonials, your value proposition, and you give them a form, of course, so that they can fill out that form and express their interest in your product or your service. But they are driving the interaction forward on their own. Once you build that landing page, once you set up your ad campaigns, you're really out of the picture. You don't really talk to them until way further down in the funnel. And a natural byproduct of that shift from customer service-based marketing to self-serve based marketing is that customer service as an art has sort of been relegated to the back seat. Instead of being proactive in the way we offer customer service to people, customer service has sort of become synonymous with customer support. Only when something goes wrong in the buyer journey, if some issue with the product, if there's some issue with the service, if there's some issue buying it, that is when you pull in a customer service agent to help the prospect or visitor troubleshoot their issue, or in most cases, just to let the prospect or visitor vent their frustrations to some unsuspecting customer service agent out there who happens to be working at the time. But now what we've been finding in the last couple of years especially is that just like with any new technology, we're starting to see the downsides of it appear. In the initial years of digital buying and selling, when we first moved to the self-serve model, there was a sheen around digital marketing. People were willing to forgive a lot of mistakes. Prospects, visitors were able to forgive a lot of mistakes that marketers made because it was still very novel to buy things online. The thought of buying things online was very new, and people wanted to do it just because it was exciting. But now, as smartphones have become the norm, as digital buying has become the primary way people do things, it sort of lost that sheen. And along with losing that sheen, a lot of the flaws have sort of bubbled up to the surface, and those are causing a situation of deep digital fatigue amongst the visitors who are coming to our landing pages and who are coming to our websites. And what that looks like in practice is that attention spans are dropping. People are spending less and less time on our websites and landing pages. It's increasingly hard to get them to stay on the page. And equally, competition for that limited pool of attention isn't reducing. So in a sense, competition is increasing. And the end result of all of that is that our conversion rates, which were already pretty bad, are remaining low, or in some cases actually getting worse. If you look across industries, across verticals, conversion rates tend to be in the 5 to 10% range, which we've taken to be the norm. But if you step back for a minute and you think about what that means, it means that 90 to 95% of the people who click on your ads, who click onto your website, who click onto your marketing campaigns are being wasted. All of that money you spend on Google ads and Facebook ads, all of that money that you're giving to Google and Facebook, 90 to 95% of it is being wasted. It's not really giving you anything back. And all of that's not even to mention the time and the effort that we as marketers put into these ads, our blood, sweat, and tears to get these ads up and running. All of that is getting wasted. And if we scratch the surface a little more to figure out what exactly is going on under the hood, why exactly attention spans are dropping, it doesn't really take a rocket scientist to figure out why this is the case. As the sheen has worn off digital buying, as landing pages and websites have become the norm, people are just less inclined to read through a wall of text and fill out a form. Those sorts of tasks, reading long blocks of text, filling out forms, they're chores. No one likes doing them. No one wants to do them. And a lot of people who are landing on your page, they see that wall of text, they see that form, and they drop it immediately, even if they need your product or your service. So these are the sorts of holes that Rajat was talking about earlier in his diagram over here. Forms, walls of text, they're used to try and capture leads, but in reality, they are these cracks that are letting your prospects, letting your visitors slip through and causing you to waste your ad spend, causing you to waste the effort and time that you put into your marketing campaigns. Now, marketers, being the experimental folk that we are, natural born scientists that we are, we've sort of tried to figure out how we can overcome these problems. As digital fatigue has begun to set in, we've asked ourselves, what can we do? What experiments can we run to prevent these people from falling through the cracks? And we've come up with some pretty compelling answers, as it turns out. And by far, I think the most compelling one is to actually look back to our past, look back to where we came from before digital, and shift back to the customer service mode of marketing and sales that we were using before. But this time, instead of doing it in person in offices, especially during a pandemic, or doing it over the phone, some people still do use click to call. A lot of the times we're doing it online. We're doing it through chat. We're doing it through live chat in particular. And one trend that I'm sure you guys have noticed that really gets to this point of customer service making a comeback is where helping is the new selling, is think about the live chat widget. About 5 years ago, if you went on a web page, you wouldn't see a live chat widget anywhere close to the front page. You wouldn't see it on any PPC landing pages that you click on from an ad. You'd have to dig through the website, find the help page, find the support page to be connected with the human being over live chat. But today, you click on any link in Google, and the chances are there will be a chat widget in the bottom right corner. And that sudden appearance of chat widgets across the internet is sort of this ubiquitous element that everyone seems to have, is sort of telling of this shift back to customer service. But just like with the shift to digital, every new technology has its issues. It's obviously solved the problems of forms and walls of text, because people obviously prefer having conversations to just reading through a wall of text or filling out a form. It's sort of more reminiscent of the chats that we're having with our friends and family on a day-to-day basis. But it does come with its own issues, and those issues with human-driven customer service, with live chat, primarily revolve around cost. So while bringing back live chat will increase our conversion rate, it comes with its own set of problems. The HR alone of managing a customer support team is a headache, leave alone the additional payroll that you have to allocate to set up, to actually like hire the customer support agents and customer service agents to answer people's queries. On top of that, even if you're moderately successful at bringing people to your pages, wait times are going to increase, because the number of queries coming in are far going to outstrip the number of agents that you have. And of course, the perennial problem with any human-driven customer service operation, providing 24/7 live chat support, providing 24/7 customer service in the context of your marketing campaigns is extremely hard for most businesses. After 5 p.m., you need to hire another team of customer support agents, which just adds to the HR headache. It adds to the cost. And all of these issues sort of snowball into additional holes in this buyer journey that we were talking about. If someone lands on your page if someone clicks onto your Google ad and they land on your page, and there's a live chat widget over there, and they land on your page after 5 p.m. and they click on that live chat widget because they want to ask you about your pricing, or they want to book a demo with you, and it says, sorry, we're not in the office right now, reach back out to us in 12 hours or 14 hours, that person is going to drop. They're going to slip through the cracks just like they would have with the form or the wall of text that you had before. Similarly, if someone lands on your page at peak time during the day and there's a long wait time on that live chat, so they can't get their query answered, they can't book that demo with you, same thing's going to happen. They're going to fall through the cracks. They're going to drop from your page just like they would have if you had a regular landing page. And that is what brings us to the topic of today's webinar. That is what brings us to automation. Now, Rajat and Shibani both alluded to this before, and so did I. At ours, we primarily focus on chatbots as a tool for automation. And we find that in the context that I just discussed, that is where chatbots really excel. So the way we think about it is actually, before we continue over here, maybe I think this is a good time. We thought it might be fun to do a poll with you guys to see how many of you guys actually use chatbots already, because I think that'll help me understand how much I really need to explain this technology to you guys.
Sure, Arnab. So that's your question to the audience here. Are you using chatbots to handle basic queries? It's very simple. You just have to hit the answer that's relevant to you, yes, no, or you may not know, since you may not be in that specific department that handles chatbots. So guys, let us know, are you using chatbots to handle basic queries? I can tell you it's almost 50-50 actually. So about 42% are saying yes, 54% are saying no, and about 10% don't know. I'll give it like about 5 more seconds maybe for 80%. Yeah, 80% of the audience has answered this question. So okay, so the numbers are changing now. 36% are saying yes, 51 are saying no, and about 13% are saying don't know.
Interesting responses. It's actually a lot higher than I expected to see, but seeing that most people over here do not have a definitive yes, I think it's worthwhile to sort of explain to you guys a little bit about how we think about chatbots working in the context that we are talking about today. So the way we think about chatbots being used, a lot of people tend to overpromise with chatbots. They tend to think of chatbots as the ultimate sales rep. We don't like to think about chatbots in that way at TARS at the very least. Instead, we recognize that chatbots aren't great at answering complex queries. We've all been in a situation as buyers where we've been to a company's webpage. They've tried to make us talk to a chatbot. We've asked it a query and it hasn't understood what we're saying. Now, we are not trying to go for those sorts of experiences with chatbots when we're talking about automation. What we do know about chatbots is that they're very good at answering your basic queries, your L0 and L1 queries. What's your pricing? What are your hours of operation? And basic processes like, can I book a demo with you guys? Can I book a consultation with you guys? These are very simple processes that even the dumbest chatbots today know how to answer and they know how to address. So the approach that we like to go with chatbots is, even if you want to keep your human customer service agents live, you can use chatbots to field these basic queries, which usually account in our experience for around 40 to 70% of all the queries coming in through the door. And when you do that, you sort of address a lot of those problems that we were talking about earlier. So first of all, chatbots, as you can see from this image on the right, which is an actual chatbot that's being used by one of our customers today, built on our proprietary chatbot builder. It's a no-code builder. By the way, you guys can check it out using the website in the bottom right, hellotars.com. But as you can see, it's an actual chat conversation, just like you would have with a live chat. So we're still addressing those issues of having a form or a wall of text on your screen, which people don't like interacting with. If people are interacting with a chatbot on your page, they are going to be more likely to convert just for the reason that it is a conversation, like we discussed earlier. People like having conversations. But at the same time, since it's a piece of software on the other end and not a human being, you don't have all of the associated problems of using a live chat system. So first of all, chatbots don't have to sleep. They're a piece of software. So they extend your availability to the entire day. Second, even if you want to keep your customer support agents live, your human customer support agents live, your chatbot can reduce their workload because they're handling 40 to 70% of the basic queries coming through the door. Your human customer support agents now only have to deal with those remaining 30% of queries that actually need their expertise to answer. They're not stuck doing the busy work of collecting people's email IDs or telling them your hours of operation, which they probably do dozens of times in a day. Your chatbot is handling all of those basic stuff. If someone has a complex query, your customer support agent can answer that quickly and move them into your funnel, move them into your funnel. The other advantage, of course, overarching advantage, is that since it's a piece of software, you just need one chatbot to talk to almost infinite number of users at the same time. So it's relatively cheap on a per conversation basis if you compare it to a human customer service agent. And now the end result of all of that, or the end result of putting all of those advantages together, of automating away a lot of these conversations that human beings would have otherwise been having, is that we're as I just mentioned when I was talking in the previous slide, we're plugging all of these holes that exist in this first half of the buyer journey. When people land on your page, first of all, they're not interacting with forms or walls of text anymore because they're actually having a conversation with a chat agent, even if that chat agent is a piece of software. Second, they are, since it's a piece of software, it's around 24/7. So your lack of 24/7 support, it's not an issue anymore. Someone lands after 5 p.m., they're still going to be able to talk to someone on your page. It's going to be a piece of software, but it is still someone from your company. Third, they are not going to have to wait very long because chatbots obviously can have millions of conversations at the same time. So they will get an instant response. So people aren't going to drop because they're waiting in queue. Even if you want to keep your customer support agents live, their workload is reduced, so the wait time to talk to them as well is going down. And the result of plugging all of these holes is that the rate of people who actually convert from visitor to lead, your conversion rate actually goes up. And before I actually reveal on the next slide how much it goes up by on average, I think again it would be a fun exercise to poll you guys to see how much you guys think the conversion rate might go up by.
So yeah, by how much do you think the conversion rate will increase? I've just put down a couple of percentages there. Feel free to pick what you think is the right answer. We will reveal the right answer to you right in the next slide. But let's see what you think. Do you think it's 10%? Do you think it's 15%? Do you think it's 25%? Or do you think it's 50%? So I can tell you, Arnav and Rajat, that about 18% so far are saying 10%, another 18 are saying 15, about 36% are saying 25, and about 28% are saying 50, but it keeps fluctuating as more and more people vote. But the vast majority think that it increases by 25%. That's roughly the answer that I can give you right now.
Interesting. Okay. Awesome. So to move on to the next slide and to reveal to you guys how much we see on an average, the reason I picked out this case study over here, by the way, these guys, Hearing Solutions, they're, I think, India's largest network of audiology providers, so hearing aids, hearing tests, those sorts of things. They have a network across the country, and they use chatbots in their marketing campaigns. They've replaced their forms and their human customer service methods using chatbots. In fact, if I go to the previous slides over here, if I go to the previous slides, this is their chatbot. It's live. If you go to their website today, you can interact with this chatbot. And if I go back even further, this is their actual web page and their form that they use, the form that they were using before their chatbot. They saw a 50% increase in their conversion rate when they added the chatbot to their page. Their chatbot was converting 50% more people than just their form or just their callback system or their human customer service system. So a way you can think about that is, if they were getting 100 leads from their ad campaigns before and their SMS campaigns before, they're now getting 150 leads without spending any more money, time, or effort on those marketing campaigns, which is a significant increase in the amount of business that's actually coming in through the door for them. And the reason I chose this case study in particular is because it's par for the course. The vast majority of our customers see a 50% increase in conversion rate. In fact, we were having a conversation in our marketing Slack channel where we were thinking that our case study page looks a little weird because almost everyone has a 50% increase in their conversion rate. It's almost like we know for sure that if we implement a chatbot on someone's website, even if it's just in a widget, they are going to see 50% more leads through their ad campaigns, through their marketing campaigns, just because that chatbot is on the page. Now, before I hand it back over to Rajat, who's going to talk you through the process of automating processes in the process of converting the leads that we've captured, so these additional 50% of leads that we've captured into customers. I will say that another advantage, a bonus advantage of using a chatbot instead of a human-based customer service approach, maybe not a form, but a human-based customer service approach at the very least, is since it's a piece of software, even though it's having a conversation, all of the details collected in that conversation are immediately in real time synced with your CRM. That data can be sent instantly as it is captured. Because your chatbot is a piece of software, it essentially hooks up its brain to your CRM and it keeps your CRM updated. So whatever workflows you set up after the fact that Rajat's going to talk about right now are happening on the complete updated list of leads that are being captured by your chatbot and through automation. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to hand it over to Rajat right now. If you guys are interested in learning about any more of this stuff, you guys can see our website in the bottom right. It's hellotars.com. We do have a chatbot builder, but that's not the purpose of this webinar. I'll hand it over to Rajat, who can talk you through how you can use automation to fix processes in the lead to customer side of the buyer journey.
Thank you, Arnav. It was very interesting. And I mean, 50% is insane. I'll give you a couple of stories before I move on with the presentation. The first story is that when the organic team or the team who takes care of the free trials or the demos on the website, we implemented chatbots just 2 months back. We were late in that, but there were reasons for that. But now we are convinced that chatbots help in increasing the leads from converting visitor to leads. They work. It's a fact. We are seeing the results now. So the organic and the PPC team was surprised. Why our trials and demos are going down? Because the chat team is eating them. So they are almost competing with the direct and organic traffic. That's how, that's the extent of effectiveness of the chatbot. 50%, I mean, nobody can question that. It might be 40, it might be 45, but in that range, you're getting so many more leads, especially in a fast moving business, in a B2C sale, where lead eventually, I mean, the conversion time is very fast. This is insane number. So the second thing which I noticed is that when Shibani and Arnav, Shibani asked me to take a webinar, I was trying to make notes and I could not find a pen in my house because we all have forgotten to use a pen, the physical pen I'm talking about. There is no paper, there is no pen. We have forgotten to write. And the same is happening online also. Soon the text will, the typing will also go. It will only be the clicking. So my 2-year daughter, she knows how to handle the iPhone. She knows how to open the apps and she starts playing because she's so used to clicking, and clicking has eliminated the typing, and soon it all will be replaced by voice text searching and all of NLPs and all. So the human behavior is changing. We have to come in grips to that, so that eventually the number, the result, nobody can question the result. We all are seeing some good results with Chatbot, and we should try that if we have not yet. So moving to the next part of the presentation, I said I mentioned I'm a designer. This slide doesn't justify that. Sorry about the bad graphics, but I'd focus more on the content. So visitor to lead, we have discussed that. Now what happens from lead to customer? There are many reasons why the leads are not converting into customers. Some of them, the most common are missed follow-ups, poor lead quality, the salesperson isn't interested anymore. There are disengaged leads. That is why they are not turning into the paying customers. The revenue is not coming. The salesperson made any mistake and you are not able to find that out. There are many reasons, and the most important thing is that you do not know where the mistakes are. So these are majorly related to processes, but we'll try to decode how automation can plug those gaps. So coming back to the, coming to the slides, you see the process is broken, and we have seen some reasons for that. So this eventually that, so I've been fortunate enough to work in marketing and sales both. So I can see problems on both sides. When the leads are not converting to customers, the costly conflict occurs, which is the classic debate between marketing and sales. The marketing team is always complaining, we are generating so many leads, why cannot you convert them into customers? And the sales team are saying your leads are bad. I mean, they're not quality leads. This I have seen in many organizations. This is the case, and I'd like to see if you also agree with me. Shivani, if you can run a poll to see if how many people think their sales and marketing process is broken or can be improved.
Sure, Rajat. So there goes your question. Again, to the audience, are your sales and marketing teams connected? When I say connected, I mean, are they fighting over leads? Are the teams complaining that this team doesn't give me good leads, or this team isn't following up right? It's a classic example in a lot of organizations that I know. So again, let me know, are your sales and marketing teams connected? I see a typo there, so that's my bad. But to answer your question, Rajat, about 80% are saying yes, they are, and about 20% are saying no, they're not connected. So that's roughly the breakup there.
Okay, so 80% think they are connected.
Roughly. Now it's gone down to 76 as more and more people vote. It's moving slightly downwards, but I think the majority here feel that their teams are connected.
Okay, that's great to hear, because after a long time, we discovered where the breaks are, where the leads are falling from. So we discovered that, and I would like to tell you a story of how. Okay, so before that, I'd not call it marketing automation. I'd not call it sales automation. I'll just call it automation, because in my eyes, it is connected. Sales and marketing functions are connected a lot more. It should be a lot more connected than they are right now in many organizations. So when marketers are generating leads, their work doesn't stop there. It has to be pushed. Those leads have to be pushed down the sales funnel, and the sales people need to get lead intelligence in order to cater to these leads better and get one step ahead of their competitors. Because again, in fast moving sales, you are highly dependent on leads, and if the leads do not come, the pressure of the target is insane, and you cannot fulfill that target if the lead volume goes down or the lead quality is bad. So I'll give you a little story. In September 2019, when we started inside sales, so again, I take care of inside sales, which is essentially a small ticket size. For enterprise sales, a sales cycle is longer, and that is taken care by our enterprise team. I take care of marketing and inside sales. So this is a sample data of 100 leads. In September 2019, we were converting 12% of the leads to opportunities and only 1%. So if we generate 100 leads, we convert 1, which was pretty bad. And then we fixed some things, and we saw the results. Now we are converting 8 times more leads to customers. So this is a little graphic or the data of what was happening before and after we tried to fix those gaps with automation. So I'll go to the next slide, and I'll tell you how we did that. So before anything else, I was from marketing. Again, I'm reinforcing that fact because I think I was not connected to sales. And I believe many marketers, we sometimes get lost in things like SEO, SEM, social media, pay-per-click, and conversion rate, CRO, but we forget what is happening to these are not leads. These are humans, and humans, when they buy, how do they buy? What are the challenges? How we can overcome those challenges? So I became a student, and I was part of every conversation and demos. I myself closed 3 or 5 deals to see how things are in reality. So that was the first step, and after that I put some urgency in the sales process. Now there are few examples. I'd like to go back to my inbox, and I'd like to give examples of what that urgencies are. So Sunny is our sales op guy, and if you see emails from Sunny, some people actually think that Sunny is emailing them, but he's not. It is the automation who what is triggering these emails. So we have a formula for every lead we capture. It is, first of all, it is distributed among a relevant salesperson. For example, if there is a Delhi guy, it will be transferred to Delhi. If there is a industry specific sales guy, for example, he sells only to education vertical, that lead will automatically go to that education guy. That is the number one step. The lead gets assigned. After that, they get a notification on email, and they get a notification on mobile also that the lead has been generated for you. And in 30 minutes, you have to follow that lead. So that is a process we follow, and they cannot miss that, because if they miss in 30 minutes, again, after an hour, the automation will do its stuff, and it will trigger another email. What is the reason? Why are you not talking to this lead? If you are busy, let me know. I'll distribute this lead to somebody else. And then after 4 hours, the manager get notified, and you see, I get all the data. I can pull up the reports also to see what salesperson is missing out the leads. So typical emails look like this. Arbaz, there is a notification about Ravi Sharma. If you have spoken to this lead, please mark the task completed. Similarly, so this email is full of these reminders. I get only when it is escalated. So going back to the slide. What it does is it creates the urgency in the sales process. But what I mean by urgency is we don't want to, we don't want to catch them making a mistake. We want to help them. And if the lead is not spoken to, or if it is not catered properly in 24 hours, the lead owner gets changed. For example, if I have 15 people in my sales team, if the assigned salesperson is not talking to them soon enough, it will be transferred to another salesperson. So that keeps them on their toes. They cannot afford to miss that, because again, it is a fast moving sale, and in a fast moving sale, you have to act fast. So after putting the urgency in the sales process, parallelly we run, again, I do not want to call it a sales automation or marketing automation, but they happen parallelly. Two flows are running. So I keep the check on marketing leads. For example, if a lead has not logged in to LeadSquared in 2 days, 3 days, automated email is sent. Is there any problem? Is there any issue you want us to solve? That gives me the pulse of the market. If there is any problem which is consistently coming through, we get a trend of that. And again, it gives us human factor. Although I'm not sending them those emails, but I'm responding to them. So it brings the human angle into picture. Again, on the right side, you see enabling sales people. So I'd like to jump to my inbox again and tell you how those enablement comes. So for example, if I go to pricing page alert, so if anybody is checking out my pricing page, I get a notification, because I feel that pricing page is the most important page for me and my organization, because that is where the magic happens, and that is where you generate money from. If somebody is looking at pricing page, I get a notification. The sales owner gets a notification. You see, similarly, you can set it up for all the pages. For example, my course page, my property page. If they're visiting the useful and the important pages, you also you can set up the automation to remind you or to help you, to enable you enable your salespeople to have relevant and meaningful conversation at the right time. timing is very important in fast moving sales. That's what we have discovered. And another thing, so two flows are running on the left side and on the right side, but we have created another feedback mechanism for, between sales and marketing. For example, if Shibani is running the webinars, so what is the ultimate aim? The aim is to impart education, and hopefully we'll make some sales down the line. So that is the aim. So, but marketing, Shivani cannot market in vacuum. She needs to know what is happening to those leads. So if I go back to my inbox, how we have created that in mechanism of information transfer is through demo notes. So if I say demo notes, I'll see many. I cannot show the sensitive information. I'll pick I'll pick this one. Yeah. So this is a debt management company. They're pretty small. They don't need a portal for document collection. Main pain point, this is this. So this information all the marketers are getting. So marketer will know what the salesperson is selling, and marketer will know how the salesperson is pitching. So that information falls back to marketer, and they keep on optimizing their journeys and their content related. I mean, based on what the market is saying, because we are selling to people. We're selling to people, and the things coming from their mouth is the reality. What we think doesn't matter. So we have somehow tried to bridge that gap on the left and the right side by having a feedback mechanism. After that, we believe no leads are dead ever. You might not buy from us today, you might not buy from us tomorrow, but maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you might buy. So we have to keep on imparting the value. We need to keep on giving you the value of our products. So how we do that now, if you see, this is a generic webinar, but in many, I mean, we run around 10 to 15 webinars a month, and most of them are targeted towards industry. For example, Shivani will next, we have a BFSI, sorry, what is that? There is some BFSI roundtable lined up. It is for bank assurance. So we create, so how automation comes into picture. So everything you have seen till now, all of it is done through automation. The automation is triggering on an activity or an inactivity from a salesperson or a lead simultaneously. So how we target segment wise. If you have signed up on this webinar page, and if we have asked the industry, or somehow the LeadSquared has pulled that industry from somewhere, then you will be sitting on an industry list. So if you are from real estate, if the next real estate webinar or a roundtable or any ebook is done, you will be notified, and not the education guy, because that is not relevant for them. Again, coming back to relevance, relevance is the key. Relevance is, I think, the most important keyword in marketing, because I mean, the chatbot also does kind of that. In chatbot or in automation, many people think that we'll set up the automation and everything will happen on itself. It will not happen. You have to, I mean, automation or the chatbot or any marketing technology will only put your ideas to work. The ideas you have to create, the ideas you have to execute. So putting that to context of this slide, no leads are ever dead. We target segment wise. We try to give relevant content. We do not try to spam. So that is how we segment the automation. When it is from a education background, we'll only send them the education content, and we have a reactivation program as well. So reactivation, again, that somehow patches to no leads are ever dead. We have a reactivation program whenever a marketer thinks that this lead is active. Let's take a lead score example. If somebody is looking at our pages 3 days consecutively for 3 days, or there is some particular trend which notifies a marketer, this lead has to be passed to sales. Then the lead is automatically passed to sales with a message that this lead score is 30. You might want to talk to them, which probably I'll show, if the time allows, I'll show you how it works in LeadSquared. But this reactivation program is very healthy. It has given us a lot of revenue, and we are trying to make it even more stronger. This was the main idea, how we improved our sales conversion and marketing efficiency with the help of automation. Now, many people also think that marketing automation is just autoresponder series. It is not that, which I try to show you in our software. So if you see, there are a lot of examples. You can see there are multiple automations. Email open. Now for US, the cost of lead is high, and we cannot afford to miss a single opportunity. Not that we'd like to miss it in India, but we have to be extra vigilant in US. So whenever the email is open, that is the salesperson is getting notified. Okay, this email has been opened. You probably want to send them another email, and parallelly another email sequence is designed for them. Like, okay, you showed some interest in the last email. It will not be so obvious, but the journey will be tuned in that manner. How many people opt into the automation? So we'll send them content. For people who have not opted in, we will not send them. Similarly, there are many automation examples. Notify trigger error. Whenever there is an error in the follow-up, the automation will trigger. Update lead source. For example, if the lead source has changed to maintain proper attribution, there is automation running. So you can see we are using almost 748 automations every day. They are running every day, and you can see the unique record count. They have run for 160,000 times and so on. So it is a lot of work, background work happening, which helps us eventually to get more dollars and more revenue. So I'll create one journey very quickly, and to relate to you, I'd create a journey which probably Shivani will create after this webinar. So she created one journey to bring you to this webinar. After the webinar, she'll create another one. So I'll quickly create. So the lead trigger. Trigger is triggered. Whenever an activity is happened or not happened, we consider that as a trigger. So whenever a lead is updated, I'll click that and I'll add a condition like the lead activity is webinar attended. I'll take that. Yeah, lead activity is webinar attended. So you will fall in that category and the automation will be triggered on you. So let's say if the webinar happened today, otherwise it will trigger for all the webinars which have happened in the past. So I'll quickly add that trigger. And so you have attended the webinar. Now you are part of the automation. After that, what will she do? She will wait for a day. She doesn't want to look like a spammer. So yeah, she'll wait for a day, and the next day she will send an email. Okay. So the email, she'll create a template which she can reuse, and I'll skip that for now. And if the email is open, I'll add if the email is open. Okay, it is not configured. We'll configure that later on, and we can skip that also. If the email is open, she will notify the user. So she's a marketer, but your lead has been assigned to some salesperson also who will not follow you after the webinar. Please don't be worried. But if you show interest, if you go to our pricing page for, 2 times, 3 times, or you spend some 10-15 minutes on our website, a salesperson will call you, and this information, this automation will give them. This is a notification about this lead. You probably like to please, and it will go from my name, and it can you can CC the managers, and you can write down the content, etc. So this email will go. If nothing is happening, then she'll wait for another 2 days. That you can also set. Wait for 2 days. Where is that condition? Yeah. Or wait until activity. She will wait until you do any activity, and then she will shoot another email, or maybe, so it depends on imagination. Whatever you feel your customers like, whatever you feel your customers' paths are, you can create beautiful journeys with this automation. And you can add multiple parameters. For example, if you want to add another condition, let's say lead activity. Okay, I need to create another automation for that. And things like when a lead score, let's see what a lead score is. I'll just take 2 more minutes. So if you can see, this is my live dashboard, and activity or inactivity is being captured in LeadSquared, and whatever is captured is measured, and whatever is measured is improved. So this gentleman is from King's University. We have captured all these details. Most of them have been captured automatically, and you can see what pages they are viewing. They saw this person saw our landing pages, submitted a form, and when the form is submitted, and when he saw all these landing pages, the automation is triggered to Shantanu Singh, and the lead owner is automatically changed from marketer to a sales guy, that this is a hot lead, you should probably call them. And the call was made, in 17 minutes. As you can see, this is a random example, but we operate like this. And then an email was also done, and the phone call, the SMS was also done. And now there must be a task also. If it is not, the automation would again trigger. So if I see, where is the task? So just give me a moment. I'll see if there is any task assigned to that. Yeah. So another follow-up task is also automatically added on 15th of October at 7 p.m. So this is how we believe we can bridge the gap between marketing and sales without being so too spammy or being too intrusive. We can create beautiful journeys. So this was it from my side. I don't want to take much time. I hope that this was helpful. Arnav, any comments from your side, or Shivani?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so we have questions coming in. So that's my comment right now, which is relevant to a lot of what you guys were talking about. But Arnav, please share your closing thoughts before we maybe dive into that.
I think Rajat, testament to how effective your slides were. Right? The TARS Slack group was actually pinging me a lot through your slides, because my team members who are attending the webinar right now were actually so compelled by your slides that they were screenshotting it and tagging each other on the Slack group, because it was that applicable to the sorts of work they were doing.
Awesome. Okay. So do we have, can we go into questions now, both of you? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, sure. So I'm just going ahead with the first question. It's from Arsh, and he says, how does it play up in a B2B and B2C scenario? Now, he did ask this question a while ago. So I think in general, when it comes to chatbots and automation, do you see a very clear difference between B2B and B2C and how it's being used?
Sure. As it relates to chatbots, at the very least, the way I like to think about it is not in terms of a B2B versus B2C sort of comparison. It's more a comparison of, you need to think about who your site visitors are, and think about the level of information that they have on their end. So if you think about customers in terms of high information and low information, high information, you can think about an insurance buying process. An HR head who has to buy insurance for an entire company, they're a high information visitor. It's their job to know about insurance, so they know everything that there is to know about insurance, because that's what they're getting paid for. Now, for those sorts of people, a chatbot might not make sense, because those sorts of people like to make comparisons between different products. They like to open up different products in different tabs and compare them with each other. And a chatbot is not ideal for that. For that, you want a proper GUI listing page where you can compare all the details together. For a low information prospect, on the other hand, or a low information visitor, someone who's an average person like myself, a millennial, doesn't know anything about finance products, doesn't know anything about insurance. If I land on an insurance page and you throw a bunch of information at me in the form of a listing, you tell me that your rates are the lowest, I'm not going to know what any of that means. I'd rather talk to someone, have them interpret that information for me. And in that case, a chatbot would make sense, because over there, the prospect wants a conversation. Another really quick example in the context of LeadSquared, because we were talking about LeadSquared, someone who comes in who has a smaller business, who doesn't know much about marketing. They know about the product they sell, but they don't know much about marketing. They don't fully understand how to use a CRM, but they know they need one. Chatbot will work for them. If it's a super advanced marketer who knows everything that they want in a CRM, might not work for them, because they already know what they're looking for. They know what to look for on the page. Yeah.
Okay. Rajat, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, in LeadSquared, we take B2B and B2C marketing very, differently. We take it very, so in B2B, it is highly content driven. So there is a separate team for B2B. I call it as SMB and enterprise, because enterprise, a lot of decision makers are involved, and we consider that as a typical B2B scenario. So the automation will not let. So there are three forces which are working together on one account. So in B2B, we work on accounts. In B2C, we work on leads. So that is the basic difference in approach. So in B2B, the automation will not allow a salesperson or a marketer or a sales development person to have multiple activities. If the email has been sent from a salesperson, Shibani's webinar email will not go to that person, because that we don't want to, piss them off basically. So in B2C, we can afford that, because not saying that we don't value their time, but again, it is a fast moving sale, and we do not want them to go to the competitors. So there is a classical marketing definition: the more mindshare you get from the prospect, the lesser your competition is going to get. And this is true in B2C and B2B also, but the things are happening very fast in B2C. So there is a complete different strategy in B2B and B2C, and automation takes care of that once we design that.
Okay, all right. I'm moving to Rahul's question now. He says, how will this help air condition industries in terms of getting service contracts?
I think chatbot will help you for sure. Arnav?
Yeah. I mean, presumably, if you're in the air conditioning industry, lead gen is going to be the name of the game when it comes to marketing. And as with any industry, you're probably relying on either regular forms, or you're relying on live chat to convert people right now, or maybe even click to call. And as we discussed in the webinar, all of those regular processes that you're generally using right now can easily be automated away using a chatbot, which will reduce the load on your existing stuff. And if you're using forms, it's going to help you increase your conversion rate, because people prefer having chats than filling out forms. So I think regardless of which method you're using right now, it will probably help you get more leads, or at least reduce the cost of the leads that you're getting right now.
Yeah, and after the leads are generated, your service guy is going to meet those leads or going to service. So LeadSquared mobile app will give you the flexibility or the intelligence, or the intelligence of where your field sales are. For example, if you say, if you look for a cab, you'll see many. If you open the Uber or the Ola app, you'll see many cabs coming your way. In LeadSquared, it will be opposite. People are going from office to different directions. So that kind of tracking you can do on LeadSquared app. And also, whenever the AC repair guy or the salesperson also goes to a lead, meets them, or a customer, whatever, you will know sitting at your computer where your sales team are. It will be live tracked on your screen. And also, when they meet a sales guy, they'll just complete the task and you'll know. And they cannot fool you. I'm sorry to say that, but many salespeople, they'll sit and having a drink with their friends, and they in the office time, and you'll assume they are working. So LeadSquared will eliminate all those things from the picture. A salesperson, only when he's close to the lead, he can add the activity. That is called geofencing, and that is, many big customers are using that feature. So even after the lead is converted, or the sale has been made, it will help you keep your salespeople in check.
Okay, we still have quite a few questions coming in, so just bear with me for about 5 more minutes. And of course, the audience, you are free to email the experts directly. I will share their contact details with you post session. Okay, so I'm moving on to Ganesh's question. He says, are chatbots intended to replace forms, or is it that it will go side by side with forms and other lead capture options?
I'd say that in most cases you can straight up replace your forms with chatbots. It depends again how you're using the chatbot. Some people like to put chatbots as a widget on the page, and in that case you can still have forms on the page. But I don't see the sense in keeping the form there, just because the chatbot does a more effective job of capturing lead information than your regular form does. In fact, I think testament to that fact is that a lot of our customers, they initially start by using a chatbot widget on their page to capture leads in addition to the regular forms, and then they find that the chatbot is so effective that they just replace the entire PPC landing page in a lot of cases with a chatbot. So they have a conversational landing page where it's just a web page that looks like a chatbot. You click on the ad and you're immediately dropped into the conversation, because there's just no sense in keeping the form there. Everyone who lands in the form drops, and everyone who lands in the chatbot, or at least most people who land in the chatbot, convert. So a lot of our customers actually just switch from having a website with a chatbot widget on it for their PPC campaigns to just a conversational landing page where they just get dropped into the chatbot. I think that sort of answers your questions, because it sort of goes to show that chatbots are just magnitudes more effective than a regular form.
All right. Another question again on chatbots from Swapnil. He says, "Hi Arnav, how can we use artificial intelligence to make these chatbots more intelligent and more like human, more human-like?"
Sure. So actually, I think the discussion around AI gets a little skewed sometimes. I think people conflate chatbots with AI a lot of the times, and I try to shy away from that, because what we found in our experience is that in a lot of cases, artificial intelligence technology, while it's cool, while it's novel, is really not at the point where it can handle most queries that people send their way. So usually what ends up happening, I'm sure you guys have had this experience before, you land on a chatbot and it doesn't know how to respond to you. So the approach that we like to go to prevent that from happening, especially in the context of lead gen, is we like to create structured flows. So for example, think about just the process of collecting someone's lead information. You want their name, you want their email, and you want to know a little bit about what they want to talk about on your sales call. Or for example, imagine you're a law firm, you want to know a little bit about their case. Now asking for those 3 details in a row doesn't really require any AI. You can do basic regex to figure out whether they're sharing their email ID with you. In fact, we have that capability. We have email validation in our chatbots at ours, for example. You don't really need AI in that case. And in that case, you're really more using the chatbot for the interface, so that it looks like a conversation and feels like a conversation. So in that situation, you could incorporate AI to make the chatbot feel more human, but I think it would be overkill. Where I think AI really does excel even today, and has some scope for usage, is in customer support use cases. So a lot of our customers who actually end up using AI and see benefit from using AI, use it for customer support use cases, where after running their chatbots for a couple of months, where they just see what questions people are asking, they train a model in something like Dialogflow and then integrate that into their chatbot, so that the chatbot can answer questions when it recognizes what's there, and when it's not there, it just hands them off to a human agent who can answer the question. So yeah, just to recap real quick, for most lead gen use cases, AI is overkill, just because lead gen processes are simple enough to handle in a structured way. For customer support use cases, there is a little more scope for using AI, but again, keep in mind that AI in general is really not at the point where it can hold particularly complex conversations. So you're still going to be limited, even in the customer support use cases, to answering basic queries through AI. Good question, though.
Yeah. And then we have a question from Nischal. Hi, Nischal. So he says, how to find a KPI of a chatbot with regards to measuring its effectiveness. And he has 2 more questions following that.
Sure. So in terms of KPIs, the KPIs that we look at, you can think of a chatbot, like, especially in the context of lead generation, as a conversational form. So what are you looking at when you are testing your form out on your landing page? You're looking to see the conversion rate. You're looking to see the form fill rate. How many people who land on the page, who click on the form, are actually filling out that form and hitting submit? We look at the exact same KPI in our chatbots. We set a specific part in the conversation. So you can actually do this in the TARS builder. If you build a chatbot on the TARS builder, there is the capability of setting a specific point in the conversation that you consider to be a conversion. So say they reach the point in the conversation where they've shared their email ID with you. That's what you need to follow up with them on. They've shared their email ID with you. You consider that to be a conversion. Now we will count that as your KPI, your conversion KPI. And as conversations happen, we will track how many people actually reach that point in the conversation. Now, using those methods, even in the chatbot that we use on our website, we've actually been able to optimize our chatbots to boost our conversion rate. In fact, I think we have a blog post on our webpage about how we boosted our conversion rate by 9%, just using those basic sorts of analytics, where we just monitor where people are reaching in the chat flow, and seeing how many people actually reach there. Yeah, pretty simple stuff. If you know how to A/B test forms, you are pretty much set to test your chatbots out.
Okay. And I will ask the next 2 questions one after the other, because I think they're similar in nature. So Nischal's questions again, he says, in case of a consulting or legal firm, do chatbots need to be specific or explanatory, as knowledge base is a crucial factor in such firms? And his second question is, can chatbots manage after sales queries? Is such customization available?
Sure. So in the case of a legal firm, knowledge base is definitely going to be something that you have to think about. In terms of having to be specific or explanatory, I'd say that even if you weren't using a chatbot, if you were trying to answer questions through a regular web page, through your FAQs, you would have to be pretty specific and explanatory. I'd say the one change that you would have to make when shifting from writing, say, an FAQ page versus writing a chatbot flow is essentially trying to make your copy sound as conversational as possible. So you want to be specific, you want to be explanatory in terms of the content that you're saying, but you don't want it to sound like it's just static text on a page. You want it to sound like someone would actually say it, because someone is having a conversation with your chatbot. They think it's an actual person on the other end, or at least a piece of software that can talk to them. And you want the information to sound like it is coming from an actual talking being on the other end. In terms of a knowledge base, you know what, it's something that intimidates a lot of people, but I think that creating a knowledge base to even see the 90% of the results that you can see with a chatbot is relatively easy. In a customer support context, for example, a couple of our customers, essentially what they do is they think of the 5 most common questions that people ask, and then they add a lead generation flow. They have 5 questions as buttons in their chatbot, and then a button that says book a consultation or generate a lead, whatever it is to generate a lead in that vertical, book a consultation, book a sales call, whatever it is. And they usually see 90% of the results that we'd expect them to see before optimization by just adding those 5 most common questions that they get plus the lead gen flow. And most people will know the 5 most common questions that they get because they're usually handling it themselves right now over phone or over email. So just code those into your chatbot, and you should be all set as a starting point. In terms of the after sales queries, definitely you can definitely use chatbots to help in after sales queries. For example, we use chatbots a lot for demo booking. We have a chatbot that we have the capabilities in our chatbots to check people's calendars, check our sales team's calendars, and then help prospects book demos with them and book follow-up calls with them to get their questions answered. But we also have a lot of our customers also use customer support chatbots after the fact. So they'll share a chatbot with their customers over email, or they'll have it on their website to answer questions that people might have after they've converted or after they've started a sales conversation as well. Some people have actually even deployed chatbots say they run an online product where people have to sign in after they've subscribed for the product. Once they've signed in, they deploy the chatbot over there so that the chatbot can answer questions while they're actually using the product. So I consider that to be an after sales query as well. So yeah, definitely, to answer your question simply.
Okay, sure. Rajat, this question's for you, and actually Arnav, you can pitch in as well. So Ganesh says, how relevant is a marketing automation software for a relatively smaller company? Is there a right size in terms of leads being handled per month for B2B companies before one has to start thinking about marketing automation solution?
Okay, so when the volume is less, if I may ask, are you sending email campaigns? If you are, then marketing automation, even a smaller plan, basic plan will also work for you. Because even if the lead volume is small, but the activities might not be small, even one lead could be big, and you want that information feeding to your sales team. So as we saw in the presentation we did before, the information gap is there. That information gap, no matter if the company is small or big, 5 customers, 500 customers, that information gap needs to be there. The plan could be smaller, but the intelligence needs to be there, which humans, only the machine can tell you, the cookies can tell you the person is there on the website or not. No matter, you cannot call, even if there are 500 leads, you cannot call them every day. That thing automation will do for you.
Okay. Arnav, if you have anything to add?
Sure. Actually, sometimes I feel like smaller companies tend to benefit. I don't know if you agree with me, Rajat, but I feel like smaller companies tend to benefit more from automation than larger companies. For larger companies, obviously the draw is different. For example, in the case of chatbots for larger companies, I want to increase my conversion rate because I have a low yield right now. I'll use chatbots and it'll convert more people than my forms. But for a lot of our smaller customers who run smaller businesses, the draw is more, if I use a chatbot, this will help me save time. So for example, if you're a real estate agent and you're out giving a demo to someone and someone lands on your page and wants to inquire about a listing, they won't have a conversation with the real estate agent on the spot, but you're busy out there giving someone a tour in an open house of a thing, so you can't take that call. In that case, a chatbot can help that person save time and help them be in two places at once, which is, in my opinion, if you're a small business, a very, very compelling use case. I personally think of it as more compelling than just increasing a conversion rate, which is what a lot of bigger companies tend to think of it as.
Oh, all right. Next question from Ish. He says, question to the LeadSquared team: do you use different email sequences, based on the lead score? How has scoring leads helped you?
It has immensely. Initially, when we started US functions, we were calling everyone, and people did not appreciate that. After that, we send so content, creating good content was the key there. And after repetitive, so cadence is the key. If you send good content repeatedly, they will somehow remember your name, your brand. And then, as coming back to the US story, we were blindly calling everybody after sending 2, 3, 4 campaigns and asking if that makes sense to you. But we made a change. We called only specific people who were opening the emails consistently, and who were, we got a sense of these are the top 10, 15, 20 prospects whom we want to call. And since then, we have seen good results, positive results, and we have been following that ever since. So yes, we create email sequences, and we follow based on lead score only. If the lead score is lesser than, say, a specific value, we try to engage them with marketing the content only, and if that goes above a certain point, then the salespeople come into play. So yes, it has worked.
Yeah, and just to pitch in there, so there's of course ways to even suppress lists or leads based on the lead score. So let's say there's a really high lead score there, and I know there's a salesperson who's talking to the lead, then I will suppress that lead from all my campaigns because I don't want to send them additional, maybe irrelevant content. Like, let just the right person communicate with them thereon. Okay, so I'm moving on to the next question from Rati. The question is, how do you treat leads via chatbots in organic and paid campaigns? Does it need to be treated the same way, or the approach should be entirely different?
Actually, I think that might be a question better directed to you, Rajat, because that seems to be a post lead capture.
Yeah. So in marketing, there are two sources of conversion always. One is so there are two sources which you should monitor. One is the source of origination, and one is the source of conversion. For example, if you are on the webinar, and tomorrow you go to website, and you are interested in LeadSquared, and you will fill up a form, and the organic team or the direct team will say, oh wow, this is our lead, and we take credit for that. But actually this is webinar's lead. So webinar was the source of origination, and PPC or the website was the source of conversion. So these two things are different, and LeadSquared handles that. It handles the primary source and the secondary source, which is important for PPC marketers to the marketers to attribute the right source. That is important, the source of origination. And chatbot is just the enabler. The person is already on your site. That person might probably 80 or the 90% of time that that lead will evaporate. Chatbot is just the enabler to capture that lead. The lead still is your direct traffic.
Okay, I'm moving to Nidhi's question. Nidhi says, are chatbots that have pre-written questions or prompts efficient enough? How can this be made more accommodative for the dynamic queries, especially for smaller businesses that might not be able to have a human behind the screen to answer the question?
Simple answer to your question about whether pre-written chatbots are efficient enough. Yes, they are. In fact, our founder made a post a couple of weeks back about how one of our customers, they started out with a pre-written chatbot where there were hard-coded buttons that people could use to ask questions. And then they moved to an AI chatbot. We created a really awesome model for them in Dialogflow, integrated it in with their chatbot. We encoded a bunch of the most common intents into the model, and it was really first of all, it was really fun to make for us because we love trying out new technology. We love trying a technology that's on the cutting edge. But what we found in terms of the actual results was that their engagement rate, their interaction rate, the conversion rate all dropped actually. Because what they found was that when they gave people a blank text field where they could type in whatever question they wanted, people just didn't know how to phrase their questions. They still had the same questions, they just didn't know how to type it out. So they ended up actually having to switch back to their pre-written questions approach. Now, obviously, in those pre-written questions, you're not going to be able to cover everyone's questions. You obviously can't predict what every single person in the world is going to ask. But again, the vast majority of questions that most customer service teams get, most marketing teams get, usually fall into like usually 1 to 5 really common questions that account for 80 to 90% of the queries. And then if you do have a person who can handle the rest of them, you can have a handoff to a human agent. If you're too small to hire someone to man that system 24 hours a day, or even for part of the day, what you can do is you can just have the chatbot continue the conversation over email. You can say, oh, I don't have the answer to your question right now, but what I can do is I can book a free consultation with you. Let me connect you with someone from my team over email, and they'd be more than happy to walk you through that process. So what you can essentially do is you can use that lack of an answer in the chatbot to direct people into your lead generation flow and get them to actually start a conversation with one of your sales reps where your sales workflows can kick in. I actually had an interview with someone else who works in the chatbot space recently. His name is Shane Mack. He's a pretty big deal in the chatbot space. And the way he put it to me was the effectiveness of your chatbot is going to be defined by whether it can fail gracefully or not, because chatbots are going to fail, and it's a matter of how you handle that failure. So if the chatbot doesn't have the question, a question that someone wants to ask in those 5 pre-written answers that you have, it's a question of how you handle that. If you say, sorry, I have no idea how to answer, please rephrase your question or ask something else, the person on the other end is not going to be pleased. But if you say, that's a little bit of a tricky one, probably someone else on my team is probably better equipped to answer that, let me connect you with them because they are a real expert on this. Now that is failing gracefully. That's turning that lack of an answer in the chatbot into a, look, I'm thinking deeply about the question that you're asking me right now, and I know exactly who to connect you with on my team. Let me go through the effort of actually putting you in touch with them because I'm such a good customer service agent. So yeah, simple answer, yes. The pre-written questions and prompts are efficient.
I guess a chatbot is like a baby. I mean, really depends on how you raise it. It could be a bad kid, it could be a good kid. The reality or the most important fact is that how you teach your kid or the chatbot.
Absolutely. A chatbot is only as good as the copy and the data and the information, the learnings that you pour into it. So if you pour in some effective learnings that you have made as someone interacting with your customers into even a pre-written chatbot, it's going to perform way better than a chatbot that can respond dynamically. But the people who made it are just building a chatbot because their higher ups told them we need a chatbot so that we can include it in our marketing campaigns, but they don't actually care about how the chatbot is going to behave.
Okay, and with that, we come to the last 2 questions before we conclude. So one's from Sudhindra. He says, what is the approximate cost for a chatbot? And the other one is from Manish, who says, how do we choose between voice-based or text-based chatbots for our customers?
Sure. I can answer the first one pretty easily right now. At TARS, at the very least, the way we do pricing is it's 2 tiers. I actually had a conversation about this earlier today with our founder. This $499 in the pro plan, and then the business plan, I think it's $899, and then past that for enterprises, there's obviously custom pricing. It's usually we try to think about it as value-based pricing. Given that you would be paying us $499 or $899 a month, we try to give you a multiple of that in terms of value, whether that's in terms of additional leads or whether that's in terms of queries automated away. And the next question, in terms of choosing between voice-based or text-based chatbots for your customers, it really depends on where your customers are hanging out. I would say that by and large, for lead gen, text-based chatbots tend to be better. It's just easier to collect a lot of lead details over a text-based chatbot than a voice-based chatbot. It's easier to type your email out than to say your email out to a voice-based chatbot. That being said, for some customer support use cases, I could see voice-based chatbots being useful. Overall, though, I tend to be partial to text-based chatbots just because I guess it's not as applicable now that we're in the middle of a pandemic, but I like to think about it in terms of sometimes I'm on my bus ride to work in the morning before the pandemic, obviously, and I start shopping for something that I need. I start shopping for a service that I need. If I land on that page, I don't want to be interacting with a voice bot in the middle of the bus because people are going to look at me strangely if I start talking to my phone, especially if the voice bot fails and I have to keep repeating the same query again and again. So in that situation, I definitely prefer to use a text-based bot. But then that's just my preference. It would depend on your particular use case.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Arnav. Thank you so much, Rajat. If you both have the closing thoughts to share, but otherwise we will conclude the session. I think we're well over time because of all the questions that came, which is great. Thank you so much. And a quick reminder again, if anyone's interested in the bank assurance roundtable tomorrow, it's at 5 p.m. Indian Standard Time. That's tomorrow. And I hope to see you all at another webinar. Again, thank you so much, Arnav, and thank you, Rajat.
Pleasure.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.